Alrighty, so
My name is Jordan, and this is Jackson, and he's going to be interviewing me and asking me a few questions.
alright, so first on the interview, would you consider yourself a digital native, or would you consider yourself a digital immigrant?
I would consider myself more of a hybrid of both, because I grew up in 1991, so obviously that's the digital native era, and I grew up with technology all around me, and my friends would watch lots of TV, spend a lot of time on the computer, and they all had cell phones, etc. Except for my parents really limited the amount of time that I was allowed to spend with technology. I didn't have a TV in my house at all, so I was never able to watch TV or really play video games unless I was at my friends' houses. And even when I was at my friends' houses, my parents, they wanted me to be limited to it still, so they would say, okay, you're at your friend's house, I know you're watching TV, you're only allowed an hour of TV, and then go read a book. Like, they would say you've got better things to do than wasting your time on video games or watching TV, and they thought that books would help me better for my future if I read those instead.
Well, the next question, did you grow up with a lot of technology around you? So
Yeah, I
yes, it was
did
a hybrid.
did grow up with a lot, but yes and no,
It was limited.
as I said. And I think that's mainly because my parents were digital immigrants, but they, as they ask me questions about technology all the time, they're starting to learn more now, though, as everyone has to.
So next question, do you think that teachers who are digital immigrants should change the way that they teach to communicate with the digital natives and help them learn in a more technologically based way?
Yes, I think that they are starting to do that in a way, as at university we do most of our assignments online, we submit them all, everyone brings laptops to classes.
Yeah, pretty much every university student has to have a laptop.
Yeah, all the professors put their notes on, instead of writing them on the board, they have them up on a PowerPoint slides, which is, so they are definitely starting to incorporate it more, but I feel that if they understood the way that we learn a little better, like Mark Prensky was saying, and they could incorporate the digital native side into our learning and maybe incorporate more videos of learning, and they need to understand that we like to have things all at once and we don't do it the step-by-step old school way as much. We haven't really been learning that way like the digital immigrants did. And so they just, if they had a better understanding of how we learned, then maybe we could learn better.
So, moving on to the next question. Do you think that because of the constant development of technology, that our generation thinks and processes information differently than generations of digital immigrants?
Yes, I definitely do think that we do. I think that because of the way that we have grown up with the technology around us, we need it. And if we didn't have this technology and we learned the more step-by-step way, like the digital immigrants did, but yeah, we definitely, the generation before us did because of all the technology that we use.
And as far as the development of technology, it is constantly, like if you look at the computers that we had when we were younger to now, like there's iPods, iPhones, like it is developing rather quickly. Moving on to the next question, what is your relationship with digital technology right now?
Well, right now I definitely use technology all the time, constantly in my life.
Recording this video on.
Yeah, exactly. We're using my MacBook to record this interview, and I use my iPhone constantly. I use it for my emails. I use it so I can be consistently checking up on things that I need to do. I use it as my schedule. I put things in there for my appointments and be reminded, just because it's always there. And I definitely think that it makes it easier than people who grew up in the digital immigrant times, where they just had to have a planner, or they just had to make sure that they had everything
manually.
planned out. But now we have constant reminders from our phones and things like this, which makes it a lot easier. So yes, I would feel very lost without my phone or my MacBook. I wouldn't be able to be at school without my MacBook. I mean, I'm constantly using it to do research, to type my essays, to study. I study the lecture notes on my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say that I have a very strong relationship with technology right now.
So you are content with the amount of technology that you use?
I am content with it because it helps me and it's definitely easier, but I would like if I read more books.
Didn't get so absorbed in
Yeah,
things.
because I'm definitely absorbed with it, and now because TV shows and movies and everything is just click away on my laptop, and it makes it so that kind of reading books has been pushed away, and I don't do that anymore. But I still remember how much enjoyment I used to get out of a good book, and not being able to put it down, I definitely miss that.
Should the digital native students like ourselves use the old ways of learning, or should their digital immigrant educators learn the new ways? So who should adapt? Should we adapt, or should they be adapting?
I think that technology is the future, so realistically, I think it would be better if they adapted, but sometimes it's hard to convince them because they grew up without all the technology and they know their brain almost functions in a different way because they got so adapted and used to what they were
growing up
with. So
I feel like it's not like a necessity for them, and they grew up and they did their life without it, so they're probably thinking the same thing. Well, you can get away without it too. So
they kind of don't understand the need that we have for it because, and they say, well, I did it, so why can't they? But really, we don't understand it either because we grew up with it, and it's pretty much focuses and evolves around our life growing up.
Yeah.
Oh, and lastly, I think that collaboration is key to it. So maybe if we could adapt a little bit and they could adapt a little bit and we could work together, then we could help students and everyone have a better understanding of how we are learning and how we need to be taught to be successful in the future.
We also, us being students, we see like a different side than even people who aren't in school right now because we're required to have computers, be able to log on to things like Moodle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a requirement for us. But
yes, I definitely think that collaboration is key. And if we could both adapt a little bit, then it would help a lot.
Find some common ground.
Yeah.
All right.